braised spice red cabbage, one of my favorite Christmas recipes. Perfect on Christmas Day, but can be used throughout wintertime, especially good with game meat. So to start off, for our spices, melt a good knob of butter in your pan. This is just a giant casserole dish, so you just use a big pot at home. And to this, we're going to add our whole spices. In goes the star anise. Star anise has a lovely aromatic aniseed flavour. Whole cinnamon sticks, and some juniper berries. And what you want to do is just give this a good stir around in your melted butter, just to revive the taste and flavour of the spices. And you'll be able to start smelling them, and that's what it means in a recipe when it says stir until fragrant. So at this point, we can add some finely sliced red onion. You need to use red onion for this recipe because they're much sweeter, and also aesthetically it looks a lot nicer. And a couple of heads of very finely sliced red cabbage. It's very fibrous, so do try and get it as fine as possible. There we go. So this is going to take quite a while, but it's really easy to do. The first step is we're going to gently saute our red cabbage and onions for about 15 minutes. And this is going to soften them, and you'll actually see the whole pot of cabbage reduced down. So if you've got a big pot like this, it might take a little bit longer, but you'll see them softening up. And then we move on to step number 2. Our spices, red onions and shredded red cabbage have been sauteing for about 15 minutes, and you can see how they've softened up and they've wilted down. So step number 1 is complete. And the next thing we're going to do is add in our dried cranberries, or you can use fresh cranberries, absolutely gorgeous in this. And we have some red wine vinegar, which has a really interesting effect when it goes on the cabbage because it makes it bright purple. Good slosh of port to add a richness and an extra layer of spiciness. Red wine. Hear that simmer? Oh, hear that simmer. Brown sugar. Now give this all a really good stir to mix it up. So all that liquid will eventually evaporate, but for the next hour or so, we're going to pop a lid on and let that simmer away really slowly for at least an hour. And you'll find that your cabbage and red onions will be lovely and sweet and caramelized and tender. So the very last thing, once we've lifted off the lid for step 3, we'll adjust the flavors with some red currant jelly. So we'll see you back here shortly. Our braised red cabbage has been simmering away for about an hour, so it should be lovely and tender at this point. Ooh. So the next step is to give this a really good stir, crank up the heat on your hob, and allow all the liquid to evaporate. Now that's the next step in making a really good, tender, unctuous braised red cabbage. So once the liquid has evaporated, so that's all the port and the wine and the natural liquid out of the cabbage, it's going to start caramelizing and sticking to the bottom of the pan, and that's exactly what you want to happen. Because all that caramelization you're going to stir into the cabbage. So at this point, it could take about 15 to 20 minutes, so just be patient. And then we're going to season it up with red currant jelly and a little bit of black pepper and salt to taste. Oh, this smells fabulous. So our cabbage has been braising for a good 20 minutes, and as you can see, all the liquid has evaporated from the bottom, so that's the red wine and port evaporated, and that just means the flavors are concentrated down into the cabbage, and you'll see that it's a much darker color, and it's lovely and soft. So now it's time to adjust the flavors. We're not finished yet. So to this, we're going to add a big dollop of red currant jelly, and that will get rid of any bitterness that might occur, residual bitterness from the wine. Lots and lots of black pepper. And a little bit of salt, because everything's quite sweet, so we just want to balance it. So this is a fabulous Christmas recipe. You can even make it a day or so before and reheat it. It will go beautifully with your ham and your turkey, or even if you're doing goose or duck for Christmas. And as I said earlier, wonderful with venison. Okay. So transfer this to a warm serving dish. And it looks beautiful, the deep, rich purple of it. So with a bit of TLC, but no great magical skills, you can create this unctuous, delicious, rich, braised, spiced red cabbage.